Alright, so not bad for my first contest in 2 months, bro. Like A through D, dude, we'll take it. Even though every time I'm doing like pretty well in A through C, or like just well in general, like I do really well. I just fumble. I get so excited that I'm doing well, and then I fumble like the last question that I saw. So yeah, this is how I did. I think I had around like this is top 2000. This is also Div 1 and Div 2, so this is obviously gonna be like top 2000. If it was just only Div 2, this would translate to be like maybe top 1000 because you also have Div 1 participants as well. So pretty decent, solid performance. Yeah, man, I'm pretty solid with it. I'll be probably what was I? I think I'll be 1470, 1480 after this contest. So this is okay. Yeah, so they don't have that. Okay. So we'll do the problems. I lucky kind of forgot them. So for problem A, yeah, I'm not sure if I implemented this one right. This is sort of a lot. Okay, so a lot of problem A's on Codeforces are a bunch of like unnecessary fluff, like all this nonsense. They're just trying to make it look scared. So I'm sort of already used to that nonsense, like prefix suffix. This question is basically just saying that you can swap any prefix and any suffix in the array as many times as you want. This is sort of really unnecessary. What it's just saying, the reduction of this problem is just saying um, so you basically sweep through the you sweep. So let me just show you my code. So you sweep through the array, right? So you have two halves, right? The first half is like the prefix, right? So you keep going through the array until you find an element that makes the prefix not sorted in non-decreasing order. So for example, if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, you keep adding them, but then if the next one is like 2, then you stop there, right? And then you put that in the first half, and then if all the elements have been put, then it's already sorted. So if the size is n, um, otherwise, for the other one, you just add the suffix, right? And then basically, once you have the suffix, you want to check if you can like swap it and if it works. So the trick is that like you only use the operation once. You just like swap a suffix with it, like you just put it in the front, because like dude, like Loki, I don't even know how to prove it. It just makes sense. A lot of A is just intuition and guessing. They might have like a formal proof to make it really rigorous, but this is just like you just basically put these guys and you just check if the suffix is sorted. And to check if you can like put the suffix in front of the prefix and still maintaining sort, you check if the last element of that suffix is smaller than or is smaller than the first element in the prefix. And if it is, then you should print yes, yeah. Anyways, this is like a really weird question. It's just like Loki, it's just intuition. So like don't really feel too bad if you didn't get that one. They usually have some funky problems, bro. Can people stop solving these so I like my rating doesn't tank? Yeah, I'm assuming that I'm probably going to tank around high expert low expert performance around there. Mid expert performance, something like that. Okay, so then we have problem B. I like this. This question was okay too. So originally I thought I got a penalty on it because originally I thought that you just check the two smallest elements, but you don't actually check the two smallest elements. So I'll give you a test case where you don't. So if you have something like 3, 6, and then you have this one, the motivation was just like playing around with test cases. Whoops. So if you have 3, 6, and then you have right, obviously you can't check. Obviously, this one works, like because you just choose like 3 and 13, so you can't take the two smallest ones. Instead, what you should do, what I thought that was pretty intuitive, you first need to make the observation that the smallest number has to always be chosen. The smallest number has to always be chosen. That's one observation. So another thing is just like when you have arrays, you might as well think of always unless the order matters, always treat them in like sorted order so that your brain just like that's just if I mean if it's in a random order, you might as well just let it be sorted, right? So I thought of the array in sorted order, and I realized that well the smallest element always has to be chosen because there's no like let's say the smallest number is a, right? And you don't choose a, right? Let's assume you don't choose a. Then that means you choose other numbers b and c. And since b and c are greater than a, there's no way that a can be a multiple of b and c. So a has to be chosen. So if a is chosen, then what that does is it creates what it does. This is nice. This is actually a pretty good question. What it does is that since you have to always choose the minimum, you put so in one half so since you have to choose the minimum, you mark all the multiples of the minimum, and you know those elements are good. Those elements are good. You can throw them out. So then the question reduces again. You choose another element, and that element has to be the minimum element. You just throw those out, and it reduces the same question. That element has to be the minimum element. So then you just check if the rest of the elements are just multiples of the new minimum element after you already like throw away all these elements that are multiples of the minimum. And so yeah, that's the question. So pretty neat question. It's just one observation, but again, the motivation to really think of it in terms of the minimum element is by looking at the array sorted. So pretty. I'm not sure why it took me 15 minutes, but yeah, whatever. This question I'm pretty mad because I could have gotten this question. A lot of people solve this. Yeah, it's not really. It's really not a hard question, but I could have got this question a lot earlier. It's a pretty easy. It's a pretty easy question. So it's like basically saying that okay, a lot of patterns in code forces is that a lot of operations like code forces is very like a lot of the problems are redundant. Like this is like a very like you have to reduce a lot of these operations, and you have to reduce what they mean. So basically it's saying that you choose indices L and R, and if you have that like subarray, then you replace every element in that subarray with a median value. So for example, if it was like this 6, 13, 52, 3, 7, 9, and if I choose this, then the median of this element would be 6. You don't do like averages if it's an even length, but the point is you understand the problem. So basically I'll just tell you. So my intuition was first I made this first observation. I made this very first observation, and this is a very rigorous observation. If an element is the median of any window, so if you can choose any window where x is contained in that window, containing x, and x is the median of that window, then it can be one of the candidates for the answer. And this is very intuitive. You can think of it just like think of it as like x and y, where y x is less than y. Then that means you can turn this into x, and then you just choose another element. And since more than half the values are x, obviously the median will be x. So then you can propagate an x. You can just like basically start propagating x's around that place where you started, and just like start flooding the whole array into an x. So it was just a very intuitive observation. If you're median of any n window, then you can be median of then that value can just propagate and just be the same value for everything. So I thought and again, that's just reducing, it's getting a handle of the question. You're reducing the question. You're saying, well, what does this condition really mean? You're just sort of like rephrasing what the question is, right? So then the question is, how do you check if an element can be a median? Is if there's any window containing that? So this was a little tricky. I'm not too sure, but basically the way you check if an element, if there exists any window such that an element is a median of it, is by just checking every every length, every subarray of length 3. If you check every subarray of length 3 and then get the median, then it works. And you have an edge case here, and then you take the max. But I guess it's a little bit funky. How do you actually prove that? So let's just prove it, right? So that was my intuition. You just kind of just check length 3. But to prove this, we can say that like let's say there's x, right? X is the median. Then the claim is that like you can just check like length 3 elements. I think that would work. Because think about it like this: if you have x here and you check every length, so this is a b, and then that would be a b. So let's say you have these elements. Let's do a b x y z w. So then you check. We want to prove that like checking, you only have to check subarrays of length 3 for the windows. So you have ABX. This was intuition. It just worked. So ABX, and then you have BXY. ABX, and you have BXY, and then XYZ. So the thing is, um, let's say X is the median. Let's just say there's like a bunch of other fluffy things right here. There's some fluff, right? So let's just say we have some fluff like let's say we have M, N, and we have K here. We want to check that we want to prove that we only want to like check subarrays of length 3. So let's just say like X is the median of this entire window if we chose this window. We need to prove that checking these would still work. I mean, the intuition is that if checking these don't work, then there exists a better answer. Like the intuition is that like let's say that like this is like kind of tricky. Loki, this is a pretty tricky I length 3 just seemed intuitive, but I'm gonna have to probably read the proof because I'm not too sure. Again, this is my own contest review, but um it seemed really intuitive. But it's like it's like basically the way that I thought of it is that like if this is a window such that like X is the median of this window, and my algorithm is only checking relays of some lengths of 3, how would it know to get X? Like, would it still work? Would it still get X if it did this? Well, I guess it's intuitive that if it didn't do that, then there's already a better answer. Like, it just makes intuitive sense. Because another thing that I also thought of is that, like, dude, if you're like 10 and as long as another element is small, for example, you could be like really, really big and just have like big plus 1. And if then the adjacent, then you can get big. Then you're like chilling. But then I realized that like adjacents don't work because there's like some. If you just construct some test cases, you realize that adjacent doesn't work. So you can just check like lengths of 3. You can just check lengths of 3, and that would and it fixed that. Yeah, it's a how would you prove yeah, so a lot of this is like this is just my yeah, sorry if I didn't help, but I think it's best for you to even think why it's lengths of 3. Why would it be lengths of 3? Like it makes intuitive sense. I just realized that adjacent didn't work, so then I extended it to length of 3, and it seemed to work. Like I couldn't find a reason why it would not work, because the idea is that like if you're trying to test if X works and X only works if you choose a subarray where it's more than length 3, then there's probably a better answer. Then X is not the true answer. Okay, so let's say this. Let's say our answer is X. Let's say our answer is X, right? Let's say our answer is X. So let's actually go back. Let me prove this. Wait, okay, let's say the answer is X, right? So A, B, X, uh, B, X, Y, then X, Y, M, N. So if X is the answer, then if X is the answer, let's prove this by contradiction. Let's assume that X is the answer, and let's say our algorithm doesn't work. So if our algorithm doesn't work, what that implies is that so basically you have to be the second highest to be chosen as the median. That basically applies that a X is the minimum here. So A and B are both greater than X. You can either assume that they're both greater than X or X is both greater than them. By symmetry, it should be the same. So A and B are both greater than X, so X is the minimum. So then we can assume B and Y are both greater than X. And then we can also assume that m and n are also both greater than x. Okay, shoot. I honestly, okay, honestly don't know. I honestly have no idea. Honestly have no idea. That was a guess. I'll be honest with you. But again, like this is sometimes so, like I'm sure even Taurus is like, yeah, I don't really know. Let's just try linking some theory. Like I'm sure even Taurus doesn't even like prove it, but I guess we'll prove it after the contest. But um, yeah, I guess yeah, I'm not really actually sure. I think that would be a good thing to read just why it's like theory. I just played around with it and it seemed to work. Same for problem D. I'm not even sure why. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be so it's gonna be kind of weird. Um, I didn't bother doing E, but it's gonna be kind of weird. D is so okay. Solution for D. So this problem is like you can read it. I don't really want to explain it, but basically what I did was I let A and B. So my algorithm was I let A and B meet, and once they meet at the same vertex. Oh, did I show my code for C? Or it doesn't even matter. Once they meet at the same vertex, then you just like fill the entire array to be blue. And the way you do this is like actually a pretty common uh, problem. So basically, you can reduce D into a very generic question. The question you can reduce it to is like, given a node, how do you minimize the number of edges you have to like transverse to visit the entire tree? And it's like for each node, you can get in and you can get out, and you can get in and you can get out. You can get or you can get every node you can get in and out, but let's say except for hold up, give me a second, I need to tell my mom to yeah, but it's like intuitive. Anyways, you have a tree and so basically I reduced D to like you have a tree and you just have one node and you want to like visit the you transverse the number of edges. It's this is well known. It's 2 times n minus 1, where n minus 1 is the number of edges in the tree minus the max depth. And the reason is because like you can basically visit every node. You visit every node twice, except for the max depth. Because think about it, you like visit the tree, and then you go back, and then you have to finish off the max depth. Then you can just finish at the leaf node. You don't have to finish at the root. So everything is like you're visiting the tree, and you have to kind of come back to the root, and then visit this guy. But once you're sort of there, you can just finish at the leaf, and you only like visit those nodes once. Yeah, to do this, you can sort of just like play around with other test cases and just see like how you would. So for example, let's do that right now. Let's actually do that right now. So let's just create a random tree. Um, so this is reducing D to a much simpler problem though. A much more approachable problem. So let's say we go here. So then we go here. Then I'm going back. Every node here was visited once. I go back. Um, every node here was visited once, except for this. And then I go here. Every node was visited once. And then I sort of go here. So some edges or some edges were not. Or let me. So you go boom, boom, boom. Some of them you don't have to go boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, hold up. Mm, to be honest with you, I kind of googled this part. Like, it's like well known that it's 2 times n-1 minus the maximum depth. I can't really do a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I still have to review this contest. A lot of these ideas are really intuitive in this contest, but I can't really prove them like cleanly. But um, oh no, yeah, just try it on a small tree. Use small cases first. Whoops. So here you kind of like go here, here, and then you gotta go here, and then you visit here. So this node wasn't visited one. Oh, this is not a good example. Yeah. Oh, and then you didn't visit this guy. You only did this guy once. Yeah. So yeah, maybe like do small cases, um, and stuff. Do like small cases, and then you can like kind of realize that it works. Because like here you didn't have to visit this guy, so it just yeah, I don't really know how to like formally derive it. It's just it's just like well known, I guess. Yeah, that'll be the end of the video. A lot of these, yes, it was a good contest, but I still have to review it because a lot of these observations and things were just made based off of intuition. Yeah, a lot of this was just intuition. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this was just intuition, but yeah, should be a good contest. So see you guys later. Yeah, yeah. So I really hope that I wish I knew the ideas more cleanly, but I mean, hey, we got the problems. A lot of this, I guess, the main theme is just like reducing problems to easier problems. Like for example, you you could reduce D to a much easier problem by just thinking of the vertices as starting off of one node. And I'm not really sure why that's optimal. It just intuitively seems like a good idea. And I actually fumbled the implementation a lot, but should be normal. You can implement that yourself. Okay, so we're done with this.